How are we doing, everybody? And welcome back to the Sean Attwood channel. We are live this evening with BJ Investigates. I'm Ron Swanson. Thank you all for being here. And BJ, it's great to have you. You've been a busy lady, and it's great to finally be able to sit down and chat with you. Just for the sake of anyone who's been hiding under rocks and might not know who you are, just give us a little introduction to yourself and your content.
Okay. So I have two YouTube channels and I do like investigation style content. I was a lawyer for a little while and then I was making, this, type of videos and stuff. And Britney Spears's business manager, actually right there, the one in the first picture on the under the For You, she did not like that I was making videos about her. So she came to my job that it's a big fancy law firm I was working at, and she hired them. Then she wanted me to stop making videos about her. And then I decided instead of stopping that I would just make videos full time now. So that's pretty much what I do now.
That is the definition of calling someone at their bluff, I think, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I mean, I'm leaving a lot out. Like I've been kind of embroiled with a few different, we'll say like villain type characters in my storyline anyway. But yeah, I'm just making videos, giving my opinion and hopefully teaching people some of the stuff that I learned in law school that I pay for. And just kind of helping people know about their rights, especially in the United States.
That's awesome.
That's all I know.
Well, hey, listen, that's awesome. And of course, we're here, right, to have a little bit of a chat about Diddy, as always. I believe last week everything was set up for covering the gag order, and that's all happened now. But do you want to just take everyone through what happened and give people an update on that, and then we'll dive into some questions?
Yeah. So the title or the whatever says something about gag order. So I can run through the gag order thing. So basically, everyone knew there was going to be a gag order. I mean, I guess not everyone, but like it's pretty much everyone. It's usual. It's typical. And a gag order is like actually a legal term now. It's the name of the document, but it's a certain set of guidelines that everybody in the case has to abide by in order to follow the rules of a fair trial. And it's like generally the same, but whenever there's like a high profile component or element going on, then it starts to get like special rules. And in this case, there was some disagreement between Diddy's side and the government side about who this document and the rules of the document would actually apply to. So it's like Diddy wanted it to apply to like every single Homeland Security officer, every person who works in the government, like essentially like up to like 400,000 people. And it's just like not tenable to apply it to that many people. And it also starts to infringe on the free speech rights of other people. So you're kind of balancing on a scale P. Diddy's right to a fair trial, but also all of everybody's right to talk about it, right? So you don't want to just say no one can talk about it, right? But you can't say nobody can talk about it because then P. Diddy could be going on a podcast from jail or whatever, right? So there's a lot of times the judge will ask the parties to agree to get out of their face, get out of the judge's face and go and agree on the gag order amongst yourselves. If you can't do that, then the judge will be like, okay, fine. But like usually a lot of people don't know this. Usually judges don't like sit there and type orders. Usually it's the side that won. Usually it's the side that won that'll type the order because they just type it out because judges have other stuff to do. But in this case, the judge decided not to adopt Diddy's order and also did not adopt the government's order fully. The judge did write kind of a little bit of a hybrid gag order, which is now in place. So that's the most recent document filed in the case is the judge's gag order. And applied the gag order to P. Diddy's lawyers, obviously the prosecutors, investigators in the case. And the judge also admonished either the Department of Homeland Security or maybe it was the FBI, some agent in some one of those things, and admonished them for doing an interview where they talked about a supposed tape that was described in like the Daily Beast or the Daily Blast or something like that. And the judge actually did, P. Diddy's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, he filed a special note to the judge just about that one article. He was so mad about it. He like double tap, triple texted the judge basically with all these letters, and one of them was specifically that. It was like, how dare you like talk about this in the Daily Beast or the Daily Blast or whatever, and the judge was like, yeah, no, actually true. If that's true, like that's absolutely unacceptable. So the judge did kind of fuss at him a little bit.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
one thing, that this is my only sort of interesting lawyery kind of question I'm going to throw at you, because I'm just not that smart. But I heard about a week ago or a week before that they were talking about releasing names of the victims so that it was possible for Diddy to prepare for a free trial. Is that something to do with the gagging order, or is that something separate? And how do you feel about witnesses' names being out there, or people that are involved with the case, their names going out there? And do you feel, as a former lawyer, that creates a fair trial?
Okay, so I think this particular question requires a lot of nuance, because the short answer is, I mean, I don't know, right? I don't know, because a lot of this stuff comes down to the specific facts of each case, and I don't have any behind the scenes knowledge, right? But
Okay.
the first question you asked was like, do I think that the gag order is in any way related to the victims? On the surface, I think the easy answer is no, because the gag order is for the criminal trial that relates to the federal government charging Diddy with crimes. And
Okay.
that's what the indictment is related to. Anything you hear about a grand jury, all that is like, he's charged with crimes. Like, that's why he got handcuffed and brought to jail, and that's why he's in jail. But then on top of all of that, there's like 100 lawsuits that are not, strictly speaking, criminal cases. They're civil lawsuits, which is kind of like a private citizen just sued Diddy for alleged harm, right?
Okay, I'm with you.
So, this guy from Texas, Busby, attorney Tony Busby.
Yeah,
He's
we had him on the show. The guy has a
oh,
tank.
right.
The guy has a tank. All right. All I'm saying is, if I'm hiring a lawyer and there's one with a tank and one without a tank,
Like a military tank?
like an actual, let's get inside this, fire it up and launch some big old tank, whatever they fires.
It
Mad.
doesn't surprise me. It's a very Texas thing,
Yeah.
honestly. He probably has more things he can't put on YouTube, that's legal in Texas. But yeah, he definitely seems like a character.
Yeah.
I now I am remembering that y'all had him on here. That is so cool. That is really cool. So so Busby, he filed all these lawsuits, right? Already, like maybe 10 or 15 or whatever, and maybe more by now.
Sure.
And in most of those lawsuits, if not all of them, he's filing them under pseudonyms: Jane Doe, John Doe.
Okay.
So the reason for that is like this Victims Protection Act, and you have to like meet certain legal requirements to file a case like that.
Okay.
The reason for that is, in the United States, we have the right to face our accuser in court, because like there's all this stuff that the founding fathers of the United States were running from over there. They were acting a little bit crazy over there, and one of the things was they just lock you up. You never get out. Like, there's no trial. You just know that the king don't like you, so you in jail now. And it's kind of like a deep history in the jurisprudence of the United States, that you can kind of talk about stuff and you can kind of like, do stuff freely, but also like you can't just have somebody locked up over here for no reason. That's supposed to be what goes on. I mean, obviously,
Sure.
use your eyes, you can see that ain't what happening. But so in this case, Diddy has a right. He has a right to face his accuser in trial. Now, sometimes people are allowed and able to file stuff as John Doe, Jane Doe. It goes all the way through as John Doe, Jane Doe. A very famous case in the United States, Roe versus Wade, which is the reproductive rights case, the main first one. It's like that Jane Roe was not her name. It's a pseudonym. That wasn't her birth name on her birth certificate. And so that's, it does go all the way to the Supreme Court sometimes without you having to find out what's the name. But in this particular case, it does kind of come into play with the criminal case, because what's going on is we have like all these YouTubers, right? And all these news sources, and everybody's out here talking about Diddy this and Diddy that, anonymous accuser 16, 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm right there with y'all. I'm on this channel talking about it because I'm doing it too. But there is a certain level of like innocent till proven guilty. And I guess if you put yourself in Diddy's shoes, which I do try to do to make sure I'm being fair, it's like, am I going to feel like it's fair that 5011 Jane Doe, John Doe's, they're not even saying their name and they're making the most horrendous allegations imaginable about me? Like, what do you mean? They can't even say it with their name. It's almost like when a bio picture, I mean, a freaking profile with no bio picture wants to like talk about you. It's like, okay, well, this could be anybody. This could be anybody saying this stuff. So that's Diddy's argument. But the
Yeah.
other side of the argument is he already abused these people. You're going to make them put their face back out there so they could be abused again and not believed and harassed and maybe even violently. It's like you don't know which ways to go. What do you think about it?
Well, for me, I feel like if this was like come out of nowhere, first time offense, there's no 25 years of stories and all of this stuff all over the internet. The Pussycat Dolls haven't come out. One of them's coming out and basically said that they felt like they were, transported and used as toys, if you will.
Yeah,
one of them left.
People saying that.
One of them left, turned down $13 million to be part of the band, and then Shirt Swinger, the lead singer of the band, turns around and her response was, it was almost the same response you would expect from a high-class escort being referred to as a prostitute. Do you see what I mean? Because in her eyes,
I will refrain from saying what a person of that sort would say because I don't know. But what I can say is, did you know that lady that you're talking about right now, the lead singer of the band, was one of the last people Liam Payne?
Listen, Shirt Swinger is connected with Diddy, he's Payne, Cowell. She's the go-between between the British. I honestly think that she was the US handler for the facilitation of all of the X Factor Simon Cowell shenanigans, right? Allegedly.
Okay. See, I'm not as abreast to the UK side of it yet. I'm kind of entered it through different points, but I did start researching because of this Liam Payne thing. It's very intriguing what's going on.
Well, you've got Liam Payne wins a competition, gets managed by Simon Cowell, marries the co-host Cheryl Cole, has a baby, right? Like the band splits up, all the other guys are touring, for some reason he's not, and then a tragedy occurs. And that's my most politically acceptable way of explaining Liam Payne. I mean, there's a whole bunch of crazy theories, right? It's crazy theory bonanza.
Bonanza. Right? Yeah, because it's so weird.
The best one,
like you got to start searching for something to make sense.
Well, listen, the best one I've heard, right, was Beyonce was in the hotel room and threw him. Of course, like if you're a billionaire, BJ, right, and you've got all this money, the first thing you're going to do if you want to take someone out is assume you're going to do it yourself, right? You're not going to speak to your security or your lawyer. I've spoken to killers who were hired killers, and it all goes throrough lawyers. You've
spoken to hired killers?
I spoke to a guy who was a hired hitman out in a Panamanian prison on a stolen phone, interviewed from prison, called Wildman. Amazing interview. Listen, I've got interviews with serial killers from prison, school shooters, all of that.
That's good you're doing it. I'm glad.
Well, do you know what? The people that fascinate me, BJ, are the people who don't have a catalyst for trauma, right? Or to create trauma. They were just born normal. You like me and everyone else, like a normal on paper, no tragedies, no mental health stuff, all of that. Mm-hmm. But I decide to get into gaming and they like to kill hookers. How is that? How does that happen? Do you know what I mean? Fascinating.
Something's wrong with them. I mean, how though? How?
Yeah.
How?
Well, I get it. It's crazy. So I believe people like Diddy, right, are incapable of love, right? And that's why they're 100%. When we look at the bigger picture, and a lot of people shy away from talking about, and you're welcome to shy away from it as well, but I believe there's a bigger cabal at work here that revolves around sacrifice and offerings to deities, and it goes, whether it's Bohemia Grove, whether it's the Diddy parties, all this kind of stuff. These people are not capable of love because they are worthless to the rulers of these cabals, the bloodlines, the people that are in control of all this. Because if you've got the capability to love and empathize, how are you going to start smashing people to pieces as an offering to the deities? How are you going to showcase multiple crimes happening that you're recording for what I believe was the sick and twisted enjoyment of the upper echelons of the system that Diddy's part of? You know, because there's some people.
I think there's some parts to it that I can't necessarily give you any evidence against. I'll say that. I did have the occasion to meet and befriend Liz Crokin in like 2020, and she
Okay.
made a documentary, probably one of the best Free Britney documentaries there is, called Slave
Okay.
Princess, and she featured some of my story in there. And I remember at the time I would have said I was an atheist. I would have said I don't even believe in any God at all. You know, I
Yeah.
don't feel that way anymore. We had a little bit of a chance to talk off, before stream about our personal beliefs, but that's not really important for this part of, what I'm saying. But at the time, I didn't believe in any of that. And she would say things that I was kind of like, I don't know about that. Like, just, things people might call conspiracy theories. But she was
100%.
always very, nice to me about it. And she never was like, oh, if you don't believe it, you're stupid or something. She was like,
Yep.
I understand. Like, I understand why you wouldn't believe it.
Sure.
And she told me the following, and it has stuck with me more than almost anything else, any other advice people have given in the last 4 years. And she said, listen, BJ, I will let you know. It doesn't actually matter if you believe in it or not.
Doesn't.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you believe in it, because I can promise you, I've interviewed victims in the hundreds. I've seen evidence myself. There's people that believe in it. And it's those people that are acting accordingly. And now, is those people that believe in it, are they running the whole entire world and stuff? Like, I personally do see how it could have infiltrated to that level, but I just choose to believe that does not apply to me. And so if it doesn't apply to me, they necessarily can't be in charge of everything. So, I mean, that's kind of like me taking control of my own reality.
I'm with you.
But
Sadly,
I can't disagree that there's definitely some sickos who believe some sick stuff and they act accordingly. Certainly.
let me give you some nightmare fuel. So,
No, I'm scared of stuff. Okay, you
well,
can tell me.
listen,
Go ahead.
this is the thing. We're peering into the abyss together tonight, BJ.
I know, but I don't peer as far as you. You got this. You have the constitution for it. I'm a little
So
bit
you've got the
sensitive.
warrior pom-poms on, okay? Listen, you've got some heavy objects on shelves behind there. You are safe, okay? You're safe.
Okay, all right. Go ahead. I'm
So,
listening.
I work with a guy called John Wedger, and he is a former police officer who specialized in child safety. He would be the policeman that went after the guys who've kidnapped the children, get the children back, look at the evidence, and put them away. Save you a very long story. He specializes now in interviewing and assisting in ritualistic abuse survivors. So people that have survived the altar, people who've been used to harvest babies for the altar. And all of this is real. And this is just based in the UK side of it all. And these people believe that by making these offerings, the spirits and the monsters that they are connected with, right, will give them riches, power, and all of this stuff. And when you do the math, 1% owns 99% of the world, okay? And then you think to yourself, probably about 1% of people are born with the incapability to love in the extent of the way that I'm talking about. We are fooled into thinking that there's not a bigger story here because the data doesn't add up. Okay. But the positive thing, ladies and gentlemen, is 1% versus 99%. Like, if you put that into a computer generated war simulator, okay, we're winning every time. And we're winning every time. Okay. So the biggest trick they've convinced us, is that there's not enough good in the world to go around. There is. You just got to believe and just got to.
There definitely is. Yeah, for sure. 100% agree with that.
Okay, let's get off the what is a little bit too tinfoily hatty here. And let's talk about, what do you think is coming next? There's been all these celebrities in photos. I believe there's politicians. I believe everyone at some point knows someone in Hollywood or in the political universe that has been to one of these parties. Who do you think is on the block next? And do you think anyone's going to come out? What do you think on that?
I've thought about this a lot. I've thought about this question.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be all of them, but I think it's gonna be, they're each gonna get a turn on the chopping block, and it's gonna be over the next 5 to 8 years, and it's gonna be a lot of them after they're gonna be already dead. We're gonna start hearing stories about the dead ones first, because it's nobody's there to sue them, and I think it's gonna be so shocking that
Yeah.
even people who don't even get shocked anymore are going to be just beside themselves with shock. And I believe that they have to trickle the information out over years, because if they unleashed it on us all, it would just, everything crumbles. Like everything loses value overnight. Nobody's watching movies. Nobody's listening to music. Like they got to come up with some way to like change over the economy, but everything depends on these
But
celebrities.
are you not taking this from a Hollywood's in control mindset?
Yeah, I am.
We're talking about a tank owning Texan who's got the photographs, he's got evidence, and he ain't playing. He is not playing, right? I personally
And
believe that the last
I think they're not gonna play with him either, and that's why I think he has to be like walking a line.
he's in his tank, yo. What are they going to do? He's in his tank. Okay, that's where I'd be. I'd be in the tank, the Ethernet cable down the barrel, the
I think I
iPad.
would too. That would be my new office,
Yeah, what are they
probably.
going to do? What are they going to do? What are you going to do? Nothing. I'm in a tank, right? So he released some photographs the other day, blacked out a bunch of people. What if
Yeah.
there was a select few people at those parties who just got sent a message because they're blanked out, right? But now they've been sent a message that there's photographs
I
in the lawyer's
definitely
hand.
think that's what that was. They definitely got sent a message,
Yeah.
100%. I think Tony Busby's not playing around. I also don't think Tony Busby knows everything about everyone. I think he
Oh,
knows a lot. I think
yeah,
he
I'm not
has a
saying
lot
he
of
does.
info, but I'm talking about like way beyond P. Diddy. I'm talking about like above P. Diddy, going all the way back to Barry Gordy,
Yeah.
New Kids on the Block, Menudo, New Edition. I'm talking about Bobby Brown as a kid. You know, I mean, it's like, not that he did something wrong, but what I will say is it was Bobby Brown's bodyguard that is alleged to have discovered Usher at a talent competition. So it's like more this bodyguards as scouts
The
model,
bodyguards
and
have
it
got
goes
some.
back all the way to the 80s, 70s. They
Yeah.
were doing that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, I've never seen a case like this. I've never seen evidence come out like this. I've never seen us being handed headlines. I feel like
Me
the
neither.
headlines, do you not feel like the headlines are being put out so rapid to stop the general media consumer from questioning other celebrities? Because we are just getting Diddy bomb. We're getting satisfied that we don't need to pick the label because we're getting so generously
Yeah.
gorged on
Yes.
headlines.
I do feel like that. I do think that. Yes. I do think that it's like, it's literally the exhibit A of a scapegoat, you know, like put somebody up because somebody has to take the fall. And like, you know, in their mind, we're just peasants. So like the peasants need somebody to like tar and feather. So like, you know, give them Diddy, give them someone else. Like that's how they think of us. I don't think of us that
I'm
way.
with you. I think,
But they think it's the Roman circus out here, and you know it, and I know it.
yeah.
And that's what they think. They're going to just give us our pound of flesh from like 2 or 3 people. But
Yeah, but
it's too
this
many
is the thing.
independent investigators. It's too many people have phones that they've filmed themselves. Like it's too much. It's out now.
But BJ, right? I completely agree with you, but just not in this instance, because who was asking for a pound of flesh? You see
All
what
of
I mean?
us.
Were we? Were we calling out for Diddy's pound of flesh? Because this seemed to me like just to kick him out of nowhere.
Since I think I mean, this is a conspiracy theory. I wasn't there. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what I believe and what I based currently, I could change my mind with more evidence, but
Of course.
what I think is that Diddy has been
Yeah.
being investigated for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been protected by certain agencies. It's just my opinion, speculation. And so, you know how whenever it's like the FBI and the local police get into the turf war, it's like someone's been moving guns around, someone's been moving evidence around, someone's been excuse me.
Yeah.
I think. And so
No,
now I
agree with
think
you.
finally there's been some type of shift in the old guard that at least Diddy is up for
Yeah.
exposure. No one's protecting him that used to protect him for some reason. And I think that it all started happening with the public pressure with the Cassie lawsuit. And since then, I think the public has been saying, so what, we're just going to let him settle for 30 million? What? We're just letting Diddy settle. Look at what he said. And then they kept hitting us with, now it's a raid. Now it's him running around with a video. I don't know which one came first. It happened, you know, so fast. And so, no, I think they're going to get Diddy. My belief is that there's so many people and it's so big and far reaching. Like you said, everybody's been to one of these parties.
Okay.
It was like everybody's went to one. So it's like, it's literally impossible. We don't have the resources. We don't have the resources to arrest everybody that's ever done something wrong. So who gets in trouble now? in a conspiracy, because that's what this is being charged as, like hundreds and maybe thousands of people. Who do you charge in that? Diddy,
Yeah.
but he's not even like necessarily the top guy. And there's plenty Diddy level people in this
Yeah.
thing.
That's the thing. So I'm back to agreeing with you. So your analogy was come from the sense of Diddy screwed up. It's time to cut him loose. Okay. And we're getting our pound our flesh from that sense. I just want to say a big shout out to my wonderful fiance, Danielle. She's in the side chat. Everyone put
Hey,
some
Danielle.
hearts. We're 7 weeks away from having our lovely baby daughter, Nova, being born.
I
So,
love babies.
yeah, stick some hearts in the side
Congratulations.
chat, and big shout out. So, yeah, 100%. He is, to us, the peasants, he seems high up because of he's a billionaire. He's a celebrity. All this kind of stature that goes with that. But from the grand picture of what he's connected to, he is very much like bottom, not so much bottom, but certainly not high up the ladder in regard to the grand scheme of things. Because we've got to remember the people that own the music also own the media, also own the movies. And it's very difficult for the truth to be heard. That's why people have been screaming for 25 years. But when the media controls the narrative, there's no hope for it. It's only when something goes public like this that they have to bend the knee, and that's what is happening now. And I just want to say a massive testament to everyone in the side chat across all the platforms. There's almost 3,500 across all the platforms. It's you guys deciding to educate yourselves and to listen to the voices that some of these creators have, because we can sit here and talk, but if there's no ears to listen, movement doesn't happen. So a big testament to all of you guys who support myself, BJ, the Sean Attwood channel, all these individuals who are pushing the story out there. Because without you, we're just crazy people sitting in a room by ourselves, talking to no one, right?
I'm just a girl on the internet.
Yeah, same, right? It's just the way it goes. It's just the way it goes. Right, so you think everyone's going down? You think it's going to be bled out?
No, I don't think they're going to all go down. I don't. I think they're going to all be exposed, but I think only some of them are going to go down. And then otherwise, like there's going to be different outcomes for different people depending on what comes out about them. But what I do think is going on right now behind the scenes, this is just, conspiracy theory speculation. I think it's not actually really sure who's going to go down. Yeah. I think that, I think people are turning on each other. It's like old school politics, like Game of Thrones, like it goes back a trillion years or whatever. It's the same stuff keeps happening. It's like, okay, somebody's got to go down for this. Everybody's mad. The peasants are mad. Who's it going to be? And you like kick out, whoever to go do their penance. And it's like, who's in the power? Who has the most power right now? Sort of like politically behind the scenes, who has the most dirt on other people. I mean, another thing came to my mind. This is kind of a side tangent, but remember that Pee Wee Herman, he got kind of like in trouble for having like a very large erotic collection of sorts. And amongst that collection was tapes of a celebrity teenage boy. But it so happened that tape had already been leaked. I think it was like one of the Wahlbergs or something. The tape had already been leaked. So it was like, technically it was kind of like public. So they didn't they dropped the charge for that. But it's like, they just took this huge cache of like all these tapes, old, like some of them were like 100-year-old pictures, erotic, and it's like just this guy with a kids show just had this huge collection. He got in trouble for it. And then then there was the whole theater thing, but that was I think that was a whole freaking op too, because now everybody only remembers that. And they don't remember like him having these tapes and these pictures of like Hollywood kids. And it's like,
I don't even remember in the detail that you do about Pee Wee Herman. I just know there was some shenanigans, and then the shenanigans was over. And that's about as far as I went into it, to be perfectly honest. But do you not think, though, right? So, for example, there's another YouTuber in Australia right now called Young Philly. He's been accused of RNSA, and he's now stuck in Australia for 2 years until his trial. And he's had all his sponsors drop, all of this. Do you think in a world where there's so much information and how it travels, right, that we need to sort of assess when it comes to these sort of crimes, because false accusations when it comes to these sort of things can be just as harmful as to the other person as the actual crimes occurring. I don't know if do you know the case at all?
No, I don't. But well, I mean, I am a victim of false accusations myself. I mean, not that specific styled accusation, but I mean, I'm embroiled in litigation where someone has repeatedly lied about me in court documents. And then they have this like bot campaign that goes and repeats the lies. And it's like really heinous stuff. Like I flew a drone over her house Allegedly. I don't even know how to damn fly a drone. I don't think I've ever touched one. I distributed her address, which made her sister get R-worded. And it's like they're blaming me for her sister getting R-worded, which I don't even think happened. But like, yes, absolutely. It has been very harmful to me in many ways, including to my reputation, to have false allegations made and levied against me, which are false. And I won. Every time the girl keeps suing me, I keep winning. So it's like, yes, no, I definitely do agree with you that people can and do lie in court documents. I mean, I wish I could say, you know, oh, I believe every victim, but I just don't, because I have had people lie about me in court documents, including like last week. So no, I don't. I believe evidence. And that's why I'm so careful. Like, it's probably like, you know, frustrating because I won't just like say things outright. I'm like, well, I wasn't there, I won't say it. But it's because I get attacked and people lie about me. And so I have to make sure that I'm just, you know.
Yeah, the internet's mental. Just in case you don't work on the internet, when people like BJ start talking like this, the internet is bonkers, right? You've got to understand. Lockdown changed the dynamic of the internet hugely, and I'm all for it, right? But it's a spicy, especially if you look at your comment section too hard. Sometimes you can find some very interesting characters that like to sit behind a keyboard, I have to say. Okay,
sometimes I feel like they're over there on my channel instead of being on their mom's OF account. Like, it's like you must be talking to your mama, because you definitely not talking to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. God damn, you will learn some respect. God damn it. Well, listen, at this point, can everyone please make sure they like and share? Can everybody make sure that you go to BJ's channel and you're subscribing? Make sure you check out the Sean Attwood channel and Project Rook. That is myself. I run a website as well, projectrook.com. You can catch all my old content there, my exposes, my documentaries, all that stuff. Okay, so when it comes to the staff of Diddy, we've got an interview coming up in about half an hour with Big Homie C, which was Diddy's bodyguard. That's coming up tonight. Make sure you guys don't miss that. It's going to be coming up as soon as we finish this live with BJ. We'll be straight in with Big Homie C. CC. And what do you think is going to happen? Do you think we're going to see the staff be a major play in this? Do you think bodyguards, cleaning ladies, freaking limo drivers? Do you think we're going to see a sweep of the regular folk, if you will, that are involved in this case or surround this?
I think we're going to hear a lot from those types of folks. And I think we're going to hear a lot from them in different aspects of the case. Sometimes I think maybe like Karina Kazam or whatever her name is, she's probably going to get more allegations brought up against her. We already have seen some levied against her. She was his Ghislaine, you know, of sorts.
That's right.
I also think we may hear like, I didn't follow the Johnny Depp case too close, but I do know there was instances where housekeepers or, you know, certain domestic workers who would have been around for certain incidents were called upon. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that were to happen, where chefs would be called, chefs from the yacht, maybe, you know, bartenders.
It's not even the yachts. And all I'm saying is, I can't imagine a white party at Diddy's, right? You've been breaking multiple federal laws for the last 72 hours. Everyone's getting ready to leave. Diddy comes running out, right? Everyone pick up 2 pieces of rubbish and put it in the trash while you leave the party, guys. We got to clean up, right?
No, that's not what happened.
Has anyone seen the movie Leon? You know, the cleaner from Leon. That's the kind of shizzle they're calling in, right? Some hardcore Russian dude. Hello, we are here to clean. That's who's coming in to clean up. Some badass. God,
that's scary. I'm scared of him too.
Me too. All right. I'm the same, right? But you know, and I'm not saying bodies lying around, but I'm saying you can tell the difference between a fun time and
well, how about this? Maybe one of those hotels he rented out. Maybe just somebody working over there that had to clean up the mess after they left the hotel. I mean, I could see somebody like that getting called. I mean, somebody who talked to Diddy that day from the hotel, I could see being called. I definitely think Diddy staff will be called, if anything, at least the little guy they arrested getting on the plane with Diddy while the raids were going on. What was his name? I forgot his name now. He went to Syracuse or whatever, but you know, little drug mule they were calling him.
Yeah.
And he probably, if I had to guess, been talking to him.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have either taken deals and moved, okay? Like moved the far away, or they're terrified. What do you think about the fear factor of the Diddy?
It's got to be weighing on him. I mean, all those people in his circle, even if they never really did anything, which is hard to imagine how that could be possible, they've got to all just be wondering what to do. I mean, this happens to us on a very small scale on YouTube, right? Like you might do a collab with somebody one time and then they get canceled and you're like, oh shoot, like, do I say something? do I, and it's like, I didn't do anything wrong, but it's like, maybe I should disclaim or whatever. It's like, I'm sure there's a lot of people like, shoot, like, especially the ones getting named, there's a lot of names that keep coming up over and over. I mean, I do think like Jay-Z and Beyonce seem to be a little bit concerned because they sent the Piers Morgan cease and desist, and that seemed aggressive.
Because those two names are popping up when I ask people that are surrounded this case who they think is going to be next, right? And it's either one of two things. It's either, well, I think Jay-Z has taken a deal, allegedly, or I think Jay-Z is next on the chopping block. And I have to say, I'm going to be honest, I think he is going to be clean, if you will, in this. I really think that unless Diddy has got dead man switches and had the intelligence that when he knew this was going to happen to set up his control for everyone, right? And we don't know if the FBI, if somebody from the FBI has popped into a Diddy party. We don't know, politicians. But I'm telling you now, if I was at the center of all of that, I'm surely going to have the evil villain savvy to be like, I've got what I need to control these people, but now I need to know that I can control them if they're controlling me, if that makes sense. And I think that's why he's not been Epsteined. What do you think about that possibility, BJ?
I think that is well, when you say Epstein, what do you mean? Like
I definitely did something to myself and nobody came in and did something to me. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you mean. Like no longer among us in the physical realm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to find that out. I do think that both Jay-Z and Diddy, based on hunches and just intuition, I think both of them probably have been protected by law enforcement agency or agencies over the decades. I do believe that they have been frenemies, kind of like always tolerating each other, compromising each other, but also competing. And I think there's, beef and stuff too. Loyalties change and politics change, right? Like administrations change, people in charge of agencies change, laws change. And so anything can happen that can cause ripple effects that makes it like it was impossible to get Diddy because this one guy worked at this one place and he just wouldn't let it happen. And maybe that guy retired or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, like all that stuff going on in the back end, and any of that stuff can happen at any moment. It could just be changed, but I don't really see Jay-Z going down for much. I do think Jay-Z will be exposed. I think it will be one day, it will be indisputable. Jay-Z won't be able to dispute behaviors that he did. I believe. I wasn't there. I don't know. But that isn't the same thing as like, is he going to face legal consequences? Is he going to face financial consequences? Like that remains to be seen.
He's in the billions. Jay-Z.
Yeah, he's like really, really powerful, like too. Yeah. Like he owns a lot of stuff and like he's invested in stuff. I
think there was a big meeting, right? A big evil bloodline meeting, and there was Oprah and Jay-Z on the table, and they've put their hand down on Oprah, and I think Oprah's going to be getting dragged into some stuff.
If you do. Listen, I got a video about Oprah coming out. I didn't even know that.
Listen. Have you not looked at the back catalogue of real good besties that Oprah's had and been photographed with? The Weinsteins, the
yes, I've seen some of that.
It's a bit like data doesn't lie. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of alarm bells ringing on a lot of investigators' realms, shall we say, about Oprah. Even from again, we have a psychic reader, astral projector, a remote viewer. That's the one.
Okay.
And she's one of the top in the world. And she talks about Beyonce, allegedly, and Oprah, allegedly, as being the two most literal dark energies that she can see in this whole situation. And it's spicy. I'm not saying, hey, you need to agree with this or anything like that, but it's very.
I'm just taking it in. I'm just listening. I mean, I wasn't gonna. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't astral project over there. Like, I don't know.
It's just one of those fascinating things for me anyway, because again, it just adds up all these things. You've seen Beyonce and Jay-Z doing the triangle hands and all this stuff. Did you know that that's allegedly the symbol for Jay-Z's business? Definitely not the symbol for the Illuminati, which has been on the internet for about 25 years or whatever. It's crazy. But
It's
they're
something going on with Jay-Z for sure. I mean,
yeah.
the threats about the Sean Atwood, and I don't know if you saw this on my channel or whatever, but like there was this whole slew of lawsuits that's been being filed against Beyonce and Jay-Z
Okay.
for years, and Diddy and Rick Ross and like all these other famous people. And like, I know you must know about the Charlene Latham case where Steen and Stein and Jay-Z were all sued together for purportedly ficking and like selling and buying and having a purchase agreement on a minor, and like the
Well,
lady is alleging that like in
listen,
2020.
why don't you just pretend that I don't? Because sometimes people ask me questions and it's embarrassing when I'm this underprepared for it. But I would love to hear you go into that a little bit more, because if that's something we can talk about, that sounds like
Okay, I
a really
thought that was like common lore. I thought that was everybody knew this one. Okay, good, cool. Okay, so I believe it was 2020. I made a video about this. Okay. So, like, everything I'm saying right now, just take it as like this is off the top of my head memory, but I have a video with receipts and you should go watch that to like, double check. I think I have 3. And you know what? The first video I made about it, I kid you not, it got removed from YouTube because I showed the first page of the court document that had the plaintiff's address on it. Okay. So, they didn't want it up, I guess. But I made another video about it, and then now that one's up. But there's this lawsuit filed by a woman named Charlene Latham, Latham, and she sues Steen, you know who's Steen, Jeffy, and Stein, who's in a lot of pictures with Jay-Z, Stein,
yeah,
Weinstein. YouTube starts, you know how they do.
yeah.
So, I think either Diddy might be in there. It's Kanye West. It's like this long list of defendants. It's very long. And among other things, she says that, oh my God, this is crazy. She says that Jeffy entered into purchase and sale agreement for her
Okay.
with Jay-Z somehow being involved. And
Okay.
the parents of this girl started to say they were going to sue or something like that. So they settled, right? And in the lawsuit, Charlene Latham, 2020, 4 years ago, she says the money to pay our massive settlement came from Jeffy by way of Jeffy from Les Wexner,
Okay.
who is his first big client. He owned Abercrombie, which now is a subject of a big lawsuit. The
Massive.
limited to Hollister, right? Like this, Lex Wexner was the owner of the limited brands. This square-headed guy that ran Abercrombie is just the CEO. He don't own that brand. Les Wexner owned it. And Les Wexner's money, it's being alleged in this lawsuit, was used to settle with this woman and her family when she was a kid at the time. Well, then she describes in this lawsuit the ensuing, like the ongoing years, her and her brother would routinely be picked up by random strangers, brought somewhere, harmed in certain ways, which is, all I'll say at this juncture, and returned back to their parents over and over again. And she said the reason they did that was to pay back the settlement that they paid us with Les Wexner's money. So they gave them a settlement to keep them from suing. They signed the NDA. Okay, we won't sue, all that. Then now they're getting picked up and brought off and harmed for
Jeez.
years. And it was such a quote conspiracy theory to talk about that lawsuit. Like you couldn't even hardly say the name of it on YouTube for a while. Like it was like not allowed. And now it's like Jay-Z was literally in that lawsuit listed.
Yeah, it's yet again echoes from the past that are proven to be very likely with what's come out currently,
or at least plausible. Like people weren't even able to believe or conceive that could happen. And you had said that a while ago, like somebody had said that Beyonce was in the room with what's his name, Liam Payne, which I don't believe. I don't believe Beyonce was in the room. I do think that sounds zany. I don't believe that.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
But some of the allegations in some of these lawsuits that some people do file, they sound crazy, right? It's like Beyonce stalked me in the Trader Joe's and then she showed up as my Lyft driver. Okay, I don't think maybe that didn't happen, but what if she did? Like, what if we lived in a universe where Beyonce just felt like fucking with messing with somebody?
Yeah,
what if we lived in a universe where Beyonce herself just felt like messing with somebody and she like shows up as the Uber driver? Let's just say we lived in that dimension. Unless you took a picture,
listen,
who's gonna believe that? I'm not, you're not, you know what I mean?
we kind of live in the dimension where Diddy would force himself on workers in stock rooms and then go back to doing an event, and they just have to go about their day. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but what better way of just taking people out than using the most high profile individuals in the world? Because no one's going to believe it, right? I mean,
that's what I'm trying to
yeah,
say.
yeah,
It's
I'm
like,
with you.
let's say that did happen. Who would believe it? And that is what people did say. So it's
Yeah,
like, what better people to carry out your maniacal deeds than the most famous people in the world? Because who's going to believe that? But I do think, like, I don't know. I do think, like I said, I know for sure people make false allegations in lawsuits. I know for sure there's always, the possibility of a mental health underlying thing happening. I'm not saying that that is what happened. I'm just saying
yeah,
it becomes easier to believe when you do say, there's 20, 50, 11 lawsuits now out against Diddy about saying pretty similar things. And it's until proven guilty, though, I mean, who knows? It's starting to become harder to believe that none of that happened, but
right.
we'll see.
It's a never-ending cycle with this, and it's not even just the current news cycle. It's, like I say, almost a quarter century of testimonies, stories, pictures, legends, lore, all of it. Let us know what you guys think in the side chat. Make sure you guys are subscribing, liking, sharing, all that good stuff. We do have a Big Homie CC in about 10 minutes. We've got about another 10 minutes with you, BJ. Is there anything that we've not touched on surrounding the Diddy case that you just want to kind of touch on? Or do you? Let me know.
Let me see the docket. I have it up here. Let's
Okay.
see. Yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much the biggest thing was the gag order. I mean, the lawyer, the biggest thing at issue right now is the lawyer, Diddy's lawyer. He's accusing the government of leaking grand jury evidence. And that would be a very, very big no-no. That would be absolutely not allowed. Like, absolutely not. You cannot do that.
Sure.
But Mark Agnifilo has said it many times, said it over and over in documents. He's saying it elsewhere. Like, they're leaking grand jury evidence. And it's like they shouldn't be leaking anything, any kind of the evidence that they're getting. But grand jury evidence, even, more sacrosanct.
Yeah.
But then the government has now filed in response to that and said that is not even true. First of all, the alleged supposed grand jury evidence that Mark Agnifilo is so mad about is the Cassie CNN hotel footage. Remember CNN like exclusively leaked or
Yeah. Yeah.
released
Right. Yeah.
the footage,
The
and
footage.
it's the footage. And that is what Mark Agnifilo is saying was grand jury evidence. The government has come out and said, first of all, we did not leak that. We did not leak the tape. No, we did not. And second of all, that was not grand jury evidence. So one of them's not telling the truth, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it can't be it was and it wasn't. So we're already seeing right here, somebody's not telling the truth in this case. It either was grand jury evidence or it wasn't. Mark Agnifilo is saying, yes, it was. The government is saying, no, it was not. And that is going to be a big thing that they're going to be arguing about in this case before it ever goes to real trial. Why are they going to be doing that? Mark Agnifilo says it's to make sure that P. Diddy gets a fair trial. But do you remember that Alec Baldwin thing that just happened? Like, he
Yep.
got basically let off because the prosecution, in my opinion, did do something wrong.
Yeah.
They did something very wrong. They had the pack of pew pew projectile in their possession and didn't tell him and didn't give it. That is not a fair trial. That is not a fair trial. But it's like, did he do it? Did he do the underlying thing? We'll never know.
Is an unfair trial not a really easy just, someone takes a backhander, we take something out of an evidence bag, we file it the wrong way, and the whole case falls apart? Because I smell fishiness, BJ, around that whole case. All right, I'm just saying. All right.
I will say that in the Tupac and Biggie cases, both cases, critical evidence has disappeared. Both cases.
Yeah, well,
And
I mean, what does that
sometimes
tell you?
disappeared and then showed up in someone's backyard in the trash can.
Well,
Yeah. So it's always something going on. Who knows what's going on?
who knows what's coming next? I mean, that's the real thing, because
What do you think?
I think we're just going to keep getting distraction headlines for months and months and months. I think even possibly we're going to see the introduction of a big victim who is planted there by the Diddy camp to derail the whole case, with a big reveal that she made it up or her evidence falls through, to weaken the case in the average media consumer. Not necessarily us, but the average media consumer, to just sort of take some of the impact off what they already know is coming for Diddy.
Right.
Or or right, we're going to see Diddy push a big red button from prison, and a bunch of stuff's going to hit the internet, and we're going to see a wave of madness start to unfold. Because I can see him, if he's got any capabilities of doing anything, he's going to start pushing some stuff. And
Surely
that's
there's like they're all in like a standoff, right? Like proverbially with
that
all this
could
content.
be, yeah, 100%. 100%. It could be a major standoff. Really good. Really good. Like I say, we're just gonna have to wait and see. It's
We'll be
so
following up. We'll be keeping up with it.
hell yeah, we will. We will most certainly. Well, listen, what have you got coming up? Let's talk about your content. We've got 5 more minutes. What have you got coming up? What is next with you?
Well, one of my videos that like really was a big important one to me, it just got removed after being up for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So I decided I'm gonna actually remake that one. It's about like that first thing I said when I came on, like Lou Taylor, Britney Spears' business manager, like that whole story. So I'm working on that. I'm also working on a story that touches on Oprah having to do with Ozempic.
Oh yeah, of
She's like
course.
a
That's
huge
massive.
Ozempic shell. It's like, do you know 1 in 8 Americans have tried a semaglutide product?
Okay. I don't know what that is, but it sounds nasty.
It's the chemical that is in Ozempic that makes it work. Like it makes you like, whatever the active ingredient. It's like a GLP-1, something science. But like the class of brand new, you know, pharmaceutical that they made, it's like 1 in 8 people have tried it. Ozempic is like supposed to be a diabetes medicine, but they've been using it for weight loss out here.
Yeah,
And so
I'm with
that's like what's, it's like a big, there's a big lawsuit going on. But Oprah herself, speaking of her, she joined the Weight Watchers board of directors in
Well,
2015.
that was it. Oprah was Weight Watchers in America, right? I mean, that's how
Right?
big it was. It was all calories, 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 calories.
And all these meetings, and you would go to the meetings and you would
Yeah.
get the support.
Yeah.
Well, like I think just last year, maybe it was earlier this year, they canceled the meetings. No more meetings. That's done. Weight Watchers was like the meetings, and so that's over.
Unzo.
And now Weight Watchers has purchased a company that does monthly semaglutide, like off-brand Ozempic,
Wow.
prescriptions, monthly subscription. And they just shut a company down in the United States for doing that with ADHD medication. So I don't know how long it'll be able to stay open. But like, okay, so Weight Watchers now has a semaglutide clinic. Like what? So I'm working on a story about that because it's like Oprah has been grifting on these like losing weight like campaigns since. You remember when maybe you don't, but there was like there was a big moment in pop culture where Oprah comes out with this red wagon and she's looking like snatched, little skinny waist, like she's looking so skinny and little. She had done like a 6-month fast or 6-week fast where she didn't do anything but drink water and smoothies. And she rolls out this wagon with like 60 pounds of fat, like pig fat or something, like bones. And it was like very grotesque looking. And she's like, "This is how much weight I lost." Yeah. And it's like, it was hard. It was just this liquid fast. I wouldn't recommend anyone do it except me.
Yeah.
And then she's like, come out later and said, like, as soon as she left off that stage, she started binge eating. I mean, it's the stories about that. And then, I'll just be doing, live streams and stuff over there on my channel. And who knows? I wake up every day and decide what to do. I don't have a lot of plans in life.
Yeah. Well, listen, enjoyed the content this evening, whichever channel you're watching it on. I do a daily show every day at 2 o'clock UK time for about 2 hours each day, covering all kinds of Diddy stuff, all kinds of new stuff. Fantastic panel of hosts. So just come and check us out. Like I said, next up tonight on the Sean Attwood channel, we have the interview with Big Homie CC, going into Fox and the pneumonia situation, shall we say. So make sure you come across and check it out. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, well, listen, I want to say it's been fantastic meeting you. It's been great talking to you. I hope we can do it again because I think people have enjoyed this evening. The side chat's been pretty good, I have to say. It's been a terrible evening.
I only look at it sometimes. I get so distracted if I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it goes so fast. I have to be honest. It really, really does. Big shout out to the mods from all channels, and thank you all for being here. Make sure you guys are across for this Big Homie CC. That's what we're all going to be glued to. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to you, BJ. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to everyone. Big shout out to the Sean Attwood crew. And that's us. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope you have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Yeah, big shout out to everyone. So thank you very much for being here. We'll check you out in the next one.
Thanks for having me.
Swanson, as always, be safe.